Let's talk about energy leaks a little bit here. We are leaking energy as energetically sensitive beings, empathic beings, those of us who are on a conscious path especially. We are leaking energy all the freaking time. And in many different ways, probably countless ways, especially in this digital age where we have access to everything at our fingertips and instant gratification and subscriptions and passwords and, people that we follow. Yes, I realize the irony in that. But when it becomes a leak is when it's not supporting us, it's distracting us. It's pulling energy away from us versus giving us that sort of life force energy that propels us forward and supports our alignment. But you want to know what the number one way in which we tend to leak energy? It's in fighting ourselves. It's in fighting against our unique inherent design, the way that our energy is made up. I refer to this in my book, Awake and Aligned, How to Navigate the Human Experience as a Spiritual Being, as your energetic blueprint. I have a whole chapter devoted to that. And then years later, I found out about a system that's been around for a while, but I had no idea it existed, but a system called human design, which is basically what I was tapping into with the the energetic blueprint concept, but it's a much more intricate, detailed, fleshed out system and structure to really efficiently and easily identify factors in how your energy uniquely works and how you sort of glide and move with or against life, is a way that we could describe it. So we are all designed a certain way. We all have certain rhythms, certain gifts, certain aspects to who we are where, we might call them weaknesses for a lack of a better word, but it's not a weakness. It's just where you're more susceptible to conditioning or influence by other people. In human design, it could be in your open centers. If you're familiar with it at all, I'm not going to go into what it is here. It'll take too long. But when you know these things about yourself and you bring an awareness to it, then you have the opportunity to embrace it and stop fighting it and stop condemning it and not waste any time or further time and energy spiraling out or, leaking even more energy. You can just kind of pivot from what you know. And I'll give you an example for that because that helps our brains wrap around these bigger concepts. So basically in my human design, what I have learned about it is I'm a projector energy type. And then if you're familiar with a body graph, it's like a bunch of centers and they're known as the chakras, the energy centers, but they're not exactly the same as the traditional Hindu Brahmin chakra system where it's just up and down. There's a couple off to the left and the right. Anyway, I have only 2 of those colored in, which again, not going to go into detail here because it is a rabbit hole and it is a lot of information. I'm going to keep it simple. How I'm designed is to work in pulses of energy. And I don't have steady energy. I'm what's known as a non-sacral being. People with a defined sacral center have steady energy, or at least steady access to this energy. That can shift their experience based on the quality of what it is they're putting their energy to or into. So in other words, if they're doing something that they don't love, that is boring, that is just not in alignment, that they feel like they have to force themselves to do or they're bored with, they're likely to burn out and not feel like they have all of this steady energy that they actually do. But if they're doing something that is that lights them up, that makes them feel alive, that's joyful, that interests them, that pulls them forward, then they have all the energy in the world. Now, I don't. My energy comes from what's called my root center, and that's a pressure center that works in a pulsing of energy. And guys, I cannot tell you what a difference this has made for me knowing this. And honestly, I've done a fair amount of understanding myself and how my energy works through other lenses, through other sort of spiritual or philosophical or psychological sources, right? And I thought I had a pretty good hold on it. But I come across human design and I get a couple of readings and take a couple classes and I recognize, holy cow, I work in pulses, which means that when the energy is there, I can run with it. I can use it. I can milk it. I can create everything I can create or produce until that energy runs out. And when it runs out, or it's, kind of pulls back, that is my time to pull back, to not expect anything of myself, to not condemn myself for not being somebody who is designed to create all the things and offer all the things all the time. And this, I'm speaking in the context of business, but this also applies to like everyday life, household chores, adulthood responsibilities, making appointments, social life, like even in my social life, I go through bursts of energy where I'm out and about, I'm socializing, I'm doing the things, and then long periods of time where I retreat and I just need to, either be more inward in my focusing, like reading, studying, Netflixing, or resting, right? The biggest difference here is that before I knew this about myself, I would leak so much energy condemning myself for not being a certain way. And instead of just merely pivoting, like today I designated this entire day, I had the kids gone with the nanny for several hours. I actually had the space and time to work and create some content and work on some stuff that I'm offering. And I went to go do it and didn't have the energy for it. I just couldn't find the words. Technology wasn't working. Thank you, pre-shadow Mercury retrograde. It wasn't happening. So even though I scheduled it in, that's not a guarantee for me. And that can be frustrating, folks. And it is. I'm not going to lie. I don't love this aspect. It's not what I would choose for myself per se. However, I happen to believe that I did choose it on a soul level. We'll have a talk with her later. But understanding allows me, and the awareness of it allows me to just say, well, get them next time, or use this day in a different way, where, okay, maybe I'm not going to create anything, but I can watch all those classes I signed up for. I can read the books that I'm wanting to read and never have time for. I can catch up on, I think I'm watching Queen Charlotte right now on Netflix. I can just sit and watch that without being interrupted by my kids or having to fast forward through a sex scene because my 10-year-old is sitting right there, watching her device, but still. It frees you up, and therefore you're not leaking energy, you're using it more wisely. So I name that because I think that's one very elusive thing on this conscious journey is don't ever underestimate the power of knowing yourself. And when you know yourself, you can trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, you know how to live. There's a quote about that by Van Goeth, I think did I say that right? Probably not. When you trust yourself, you know how to live. It's like an internal compass, and it's more than that. It is liberation, it's freedom, and you have more energy to put towards the things that you care about and less time wasted or energy wasted with the things that just don't apply to you. In addition to that, so that's the biggest one, but other places to look would be like, what is one thing that just sucks the life out of you and makes you tired? Is it spending too much time on your phone scrolling through social media, or waking up in the beginning of the day and going straight to emails and have-tos and to-dos? Does that energize you, or does that make you feel tired? Whatever makes you feel tired is leaking your energy. It's taking it away from you. It's not supporting your alignment and your vitality. So just make this simple adjustment. Choose one thing and make one tiny adjustment to sort of plug up that energy leak and create some good flowing supportive energy in that direction. That's always going to feel good. That's kind of my rule of thumb for discerning what is good for me, what is not good for me. So the shortcut is your human design. I would definitely look into that. But if that's not your access point, look to how you feel in any given moment, and you'll be able to identify your energy leaks for sure.